Super League.
2019 Betfred Women's Super League champions, the Leeds Rhinos. Absolutely fabulous.
Saints are champions of Super League again.
Hello, welcome to Betfred's Last Tackle, our rugby league show. We've got two very special guests. We're going to have a bit of a Saints versus Wigan rivalry. We've got 8 grand finals between them. It's the Wigan skipper, Sean O'Loughlin, and representing the Saints, we've got Paul Sculthorpe. Thanks for joining us, gents. First of all, Sean, if I can start with you, the most important question, I hope you and your family are well.
Yeah, very well, thank you. It's not obviously the most enjoyable time, but it's you get at the minute again spending a bit of time with the family and just be chilling at home. So it's not affecting us too much. It's just a little bit of boredom at times that you can't get out there and see all the parents and the grandparents, that kind of thing. But yeah, apart from that, we can't really complain too much. Everything's going all right. Everyone's fit.
And certainly when you switch the TV on, Sean, and put the news on, look, we're in hell of a lot of position and a lot of people, and you know we've got to praise our NHS and care workers. What they're doing is just phenomenal, isn't it?
Oh, it's unbelievable! It's unbelievable. The Thursday 8 o'clock clap, what's been going on? It really pulls on the heartstrings. You feel very patriotic, kind of going out there and doing it. So it's yeah, there's a lot of people. Obviously, if you go into work and there's times when they're fearing for their health or their safety. It must be a real traumatic time for what a lot of people are going through.
Yeah, look, we really appreciate what all the NHS and the key workers are doing, and the amount of stuff that rugby league's doing as well, Scully. I mean, I think the big reason that the rugby league were the first to get the help from DCMS was because we are such a community sport, and I know you've been out there delivering food.
Yeah, I think we are. We are such a community sport. I think we are all year round, but I think times like this, you know, it makes it that much stronger. And I think rugby league has certainly led the way in doing that. You know, you said we are a community sport, and really, you know, the professional clubs get behind the communities in their areas. So I think the support that it's been given, and rightly so, like you say, you know, you mentioned the key workers and certainly the NHS, and I know we say it every time we've done this, what a magnificent job they're doing, and to risk, you know, their own safety to care for others is very, very selfless.
No, it certainly is, and we appreciate what they do. But Sean, how's your fitness then, mate? Are you keeping fit?
Yeah, trying to. My wife's still working from home a little bit, so I'm behind the kids sometimes. So I just sneak off, do a little bit when I can do, and jump on a bike, do some weights. The club kind of let us take home from the gym, so I managed to get hold of a walk bike. I got hold of some plates and a bar, so a little setup in the garden. And luckily enough, the weather's been all right, so there's been plenty of opportunities to get out there and do a bit.
And what you like training by yourself? Are you frustrated? Are you angry? Or are you one of those that can get on with it?
I've enjoyed kind of coming up with stuff for myself to do on my own. I think social media is a great platform that you can see what other people are doing, other sports people, like kind of CrossFit, looking at loads of different things and kind of chipping into sessions and trying your hand at different stuff. I've actually enjoyed the training side of things. I think the boredom comes is in not being with friends and your mates that you train with on a regular basis. That's the tougher thing. I think actually getting out there and working hard, I think most people enjoy doing that. Most sports people enjoy training themselves and kind of flogging themselves. That's kind of part and parcel of the job. What's been the hard thing is coming up with fresh ideas and try to make it entertaining for yourself as well.
Scully, we know you're still mental with your fitness. I saw you putting a picture of gloves on social media this morning. I thought you big boys had 14-ounce gloves. What are you doing with 12-ounce boxing gloves?
No, man, the proper boys, you know, a lot less. I told you 8 ounce when we fight. Make sure they feel it.
Now, you didn't used to wear boxing gloves when you played Wigan, of course, but why is the rivalry so intense then, Scully, between Saints and Wigan?
Oh man, I think it's obviously the neighbours. I think there's only the big hill between them, and I think the rivalry because of two great clubs who both demand success. So I think that obviously that rivalry and the want to win I think has bled that for years. And the great thing with our game, you know, it's all done in the right spirit, and you know, the banter between the fans. Obviously, you know, once we cross that whitewash, you know, anything goes for 80 minutes, but then it's shake hands and all forgotten.
Sean, is it the one fixture when they come out you look for? Saints?
Yeah, they're enjoyable games to play in. As Scully said, I think the rivalry is there because the sides are always so competitive to be at the top as well. It's they're always up. Both teams are always up there. Bryson, over my career, the kind of who's kind of been top has changed on a number of occasions. So it's you always want the kind of bragging rights for the fans, but the intensity of the games bring there what players enjoy, and it brings the best out in you.
And I suppose it wasn't that long ago. Good Friday, you must have been sat at home gutted, didn't you?
Yeah, it was strange. There was loads of stuff on social media about Good Friday, and it just I think it went to show just how much kind of people appreciated the sport and how much they missed it. It was a great kind of Easter weekend. The sun was out, and to see the amount of people commenting on missing the rugby and how much it was affecting them, it shows what a big part kind of sport plays. Obviously in players' lives because it's the job, but obviously it showed a bigger part of what it played in kind of spectators' lives and how much they look forward to it as well.
Sean, you say it's your job though, Sean, but I mean, you're rugby league through and through though, aren't you? So
oh yeah,
you've played all your life, isn't it?
Yeah, and if I wasn't playing, I'd be looking forward to it as a spectator. So it's definitely part of what I enjoy. And yeah, it's just probably seeing the amount of people commenting on it over the Easter weekend was not something I weren't expecting, but a big eye opener just how much people were missing it.
I've spoken to the Super League today, and the Super League and the RFL are in regular contact with the government. There's no set date to return. Obviously, we saw that comment yesterday. They said that sport behind closed doors may be allowed after the 1st of June. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, but there is no announcement imminent from the Super League RFL when it will return. And Scully, I think we've said this a number of occasions now. We've just got to trust the authorities to make the right decision. They're talking to the government, so we've got to trust the authorities to make the right decision when it's safe to bring Super League back, haven't we?
Yeah. I mean, obviously we all want it back as soon as possible, but it's got to be at the right time, and it's got to be paramount that everybody's safety comes first. So, you know, obviously the players, the people who, even if it's empty stadiums, you know, there's going to be people involved in the setup of the running of the day. So it's got to be done right, and you know, no doubt, you know, Ralph and Robert and, you know, speaking to the government daily, and you know, things will commence when right so.
And one more question to you, Scully, as well. I suppose we can learn from the NRL, can't we, which is coming back as well?
Yeah. Obviously the NRL. I mean, they've had it a bit less than us, obviously, over in Australia, and you know, the players are already back in training. So obviously, you know, we can see how that pans out as well, and hopefully, you know, everything runs pretty smoothly. And you know, as I said, everybody wants to see sport back. You know, not just rugby league, all sport in general. And like I said before, you know, I think when you've not got it, I think you realise what you're missing, and you know, hopefully, you know, the fans really get behind it when allowed to do so.
Sean, let's be honest. I think when you do come back, you're going to be behind closed doors. How will that feel?
Yeah, it's obviously looking like that's going to be the first step into getting back playing, and I can imagine it'll be a real strange atmosphere. There was a couple of UFC fights on the weekend, and I caught the highlights of that, and there's no atmosphere at all. You can hear the fighters talking to each other. You can even talk to the referee. It just had a really strange feel about it. But I think for us to get in front of crowds is a long way off. So there's got to be some kind of bridging gap in between that. So I think it's going to be a necessity that we do that. So as you spoke about, safety is the biggest thing what you need to get right in order for us to get back playing. But from a player's point of view, I think it'll be a sacrifice they'll be willing to take and playing behind closed doors just to get back playing and getting rugby going again.
So as the Wigan skipper, you've got no issues when you're told you can go back into training, you can get playing when it's safe. You've got no issues. You'll be all for it.
Yeah, I think I don't want to say every player will have the same mentality, but I think as long as there's the procedures in there that it is a safe environment to go in, and not just for the players, the staff, the people who are going to be there involved with game days. Everybody involved will want to know that there's a safe process going on, there's the right protocols being adhered to. And I think once all them boxes are ticked, obviously players will love to get back. If you ask majority of the boys, I'm sure they'd say yeah, but I think it's got to be safety first as well.
And obviously, as skipper, you'll help represent, your side, won't you?
Yeah, I think a big thing that's always been spoke about in rugby league is the lack of a players union and a voice for the players. So I think this will hopefully kind of galvanise that side of things. And I think if one good thing can come out of it from a player's point of view is probably the powers that be probably need to listen to the players a little bit more, and the players have a bit of a stronger voice than they have done in the past.
Scully, when we are able to return, it should be a real tonic for all of us, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it certainly will be. As you say, you listen to people how much they are missing it at the moment, and let's have some positive stuff on TV for a change, and getting the games back on, be it with no crowds, but at least fans can watch their teams on Sky and really get behind them. But it'd be great just to see the boys back out there.
Right, well, let's try and put smiles on people's faces. The Super League at the moment are doing an excellent thing on Twitter with their ultimate team. Now then, Sean, you might want to hear about this. Your teammate Zach Hardacre has picked you and put you in the ultimate Super League team. Yet another one of your teammates, Jackson Hastings, has picked Scully as well. So you might want to have a word with Jackson Hastings when you're back in training. But it's great how the Super League have done it. And as well, Scully, you have picked your team as well, haven't you? And I see you do give a mention to Sean, but who have you picked at loose forward in your ultimate dream team?
Yeah, it's there is so many positions as well with so many good players, and obviously I picked mine on the basis of a lot of players that I've played with. I kept it in the family an awful lot because it is his brother-in-law. So I went for Faz. Obviously, I played a lot of my international career with Andy, and obviously a lot of battles with him at Wigan. Obviously, you can't pick yourself, so I picked Faz.
Well, Andy Farrell, obviously, what amazing player or whatever. But Sean, it must give you a lot of pleasure to be mentioning a lot of people's ultimate Super League dream teams, though.
Oh, massively. I think, obviously, when I look at the players I've been around, they're kind of players what I came into the game trying to emulate, and already big fans of them. So it was, to get mentioned alongside them was pretty special in its own rights. But yeah, as I said, I think you always look to players. For me personally, I always look to players older than myself, who you kind of came in and learn stuff from. There's obviously getting opportunities to play with both Andy and Scully. Obviously Andy at Wigan, but Scully internationally as well. I think you kind of learn so much from them, and that kind of sticks in your mind when you look back and think about these kind of things.
Go to the Super League website to pick your ultimate team as well. Scully's team will be up on Tuesday night. And Scully, you're going to like this from one of your mates, Jamie Jones Buchanan, has said he's done his Super League team and it'll be up on Thursday. He has said about you, Scully, some say he's the best to play Super League, simply 9 out of 10 in every department. Vision, skill and aggression. If you put the 12 of the players in a cauldron, bowled them up and left them to cool, Scully would emerge as an amalgamation of them all. So how much have you paid JJB to say that then, mate?
I'll tell you what, I'll take that off Jamie Jones, because he's been a great ambassador for our sport, and very, very good friend of mine. And the work that he's doing now, obviously with Leeds and Rugby AM and just promoting the game, he's a great ambassador for our sport, and I'll take that off him. He's played 20 years at the top, so thanks to Jamie for that.
Well, let's carry on talking about happier times. But yeah, go and pick your ultimate team on the Super League website. Let's talk about not your 4 grand final wins, Scully, because we spoke about them plenty of times. let's speak about Sean's 4 grand final wins. The first one came in 2010, Sean. Did it mean more because it was against the old enemy?
No, I think it meant more because it was my first one, and I think it was the first one for the majority of the team. I think there was probably Gleeson Deeks in that team who had won one before, and I think apart from that, it was the majority of the team's first one. And it just, for me personally, it had been something what I've been building to for a long time. I kind of came into Wigan as a kid into the first team when they were on the back of them winning trophies and being involved in finals, and it probably took me, I think it was 8 years before I got an opportunity to play in I had to win a grand final. I think I played in one in 2004 or 5. I got beat and then didn't play in one again until 2010, and that was my first silverware as a player. So it was, I think that's what made it kind of the most special thing.
And then 3 years later, you do it again. This time against Warrington. Did you take it in more? You know, the second win. Were you able to take it in more, or was it still just as special, just the same?
I'm probably one of them players. When I look back on games, I don't really remember too much of them. I find it hard to kind of describe the game, kind of what really happened to it. But I do think it was a bit more. I think knowing what was going to happen and going into the game beforehand, I think that it definitely helped that I'd been involved in a grand final previously. I think the build-up and just the crowd on the day, I think that's something you can't really get your head around until you've walked out on the pitch and experienced it. But yeah, I think the more you're playing them, the kind of, not easy they are because the games themselves are always brutal and tough games. But I think the more you kind of your mind's ready for the game and you know what to expect.
I'll bring Scully in. Scully, how important is that experience? Because it's a big week, isn't it? You've got the press day on the Monday. You go and have a look round Old Trafford. Look, it's a huge day, the Saturday itself. And the Super League put on such a good show before the build-up to the grand final. But, you know, I think some people do end up being like, you know, rabbits in headlights, don't they?
Yeah, I think they do, and I think, like Locker's mentioned, then I think that's the biggest part is knowing how to handle that pressure. And probably the second time you go, you're a bit more aware of what to expect. But that's what you find. I think grand finals, they're that step up in intensity of the actual game that, you know, you can easily, you know, lose your legs pretty quick in regards to nerves and energy levels if you don't control that. So, but it's one of them. Once you've experienced it, you just want more of it. I think. The big prize is getting to the final, and then obviously you want to go on and finish the job. But that week of the final is real special.
And then Sean, the third one came in 2016, and that was a really tight affair against Warrington, wasn't it? Just coming out 12-6 winners.
Yeah, it was. They share right down to the death. I think them kind of games. There's some games you can be up going into the final 10 minutes and you almost know the game's in the bag, but that one was right down to the death. There was no chance during the game to sit back and know what was coming ahead, know that we would get the win. It was just right down to the death. It was every last minute of the game was a real scrap.
And 2018 Warrington again, was that the most emotional with the departure of Shaun Wane?
Yeah, probably. Wayne milked it a bit that year. He announced he was leaving quite early in the season, and he milked everyone to get him his ring. So but yeah, it was pretty emotional, that one. Wayne obviously was quite emotional about it, and there was a few other boys who was leaving at the time as well. So it was a special one, real special moment.
And what about the season so far? Because when we halt the season, we're going to top of the league, Sean.
I know it feels a million years ago since we played, though. It's strange. I think it was Salford we played last, where we come off the back of a loss. So it's previous to that, yeah, we've been going all right, but it just seems so far away now since we were playing. But yeah, we had a decent start to the season. I think we were still settling in a little bit, but we was picking up wins and having a good run. So it was not a bad start to the season for us. We just want to get back going now.
Yeah, look, we all want you to get back going. I mean, 1-5, lost 2. There were 2 away games, Salford and Castleford. So did you feel like you were just beginning to get something going?
Yeah, I think probably the year previous, Lammy's first year, we weren't a million miles off, but we didn't pick up too many. We weren't picking up games. Where I think this year we still felt we weren't hitting the straps and firing, but we was getting wins where we probably weren't last year. And I think you're always in a pretty strong position when you're not quite firing on all cylinders, you're not quite nailing it, but you're still kind of ticking the wins off and ticking yourself along nicely.
Yeah. Scully, don't slag them off, but how do you view Wigan this term then before we went into the break?
Yeah, man, I would never slag Wigan off. No, they made a great side. Got some great players, and as like I said, they were starting to see strong. You know, I can't honestly remember that of what we've seen so far this year. It seems a million miles away. So it'd be interesting to see which players, throughout Super League have taken opportunity of this to keep ticking over and come back in the best shape, because it will be pretty much a brand new start. So, but Wigan are a great side, made some great signings. Obviously, I think Hastings at 7 has been a big signing for Wigan. Just that talisman to lead them around the field and from halfback and I think the Wigan are always going to be up there. Always going to be up there.
Yeah, it was a man of steel last year, and Sean, Jackson Hastings seems to have really set. Well, like you say, it's weeks ago, but seemed to have really settled into your side.
Yeah, definitely. He's obviously we knew what we were signing. We knew he was a quality player on the back of him, what he did at Salford. I think when he came in, we had a good pre-season where it was kind of us seeing what he wanted from the team and vice versa as well. A very different character than George Williams. So there was a little bit of a bedding in period there, but yeah, he's definitely brought a lot to the side. His competitive nature, and he's kind of the way he gets himself around the field, but also gets the team around the field. He has kind of them attributes what you expect from a real strong 7 in the game. He looks after his game, but he barks the orders and gets the team around the park as well.
And Sean, has this suspension changed your mind at all? Have you thought about the future? Do you fancy playing another year, or is it just a case of getting this year over with first before you make any decision?
I'm not. This year could be a real long season, and we don't know. We don't kind of know when it's going to start back up and when it'll end. Then, so it's not really something I'll give too much thought. But if it gets to the point where we're playing maybe 2 or 3 games a week, this season will probably finish me off anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see. Obviously, we don't know when it is going to return. But Scully, without embarrassing him too much, what has Sean brought to the Super League in his career?
He's just one of them. He's one of them standout players and personalities, I think, in the game. I think Wigan are a completely different side with Lockers in than without him. He just very much like I spoke about Andy Farrell. Just that talisman, the kingpin, the leader of that team, and he's a great guy, but an absolutely outstanding player, and has been consistently good. He's got everything in his game, and I know, speaking to Wayne the other day, he always talks about Lockers. Obviously, he's got a lot of time under his reign of one of the players that is on a different level to a lot of other players.
Well, Sean, I hope we see you leading out Wigan very, very soon. So thanks for joining us, Sean O'Loughlin, and thanks, Scully, for joining us. You've been watching Betfred's Last Tackle. We'll be back next Tuesday. Hopefully, we'll have some news on Rugby League's return. But in the meantime, please stay safe.
Sensational from Blake Austin. He can! Toronto are heading for Super League. 2019 Betfred wins Super League champions. The lead driver